between. Want to join in? Call or text the show at 573-875-KTGR. The Big Show starts now.
You bet it does. Welcome into Friday's edition of The Big Show on your total sports station, KTGR. Andy Humphrey, Brenden Schaefer here. Oh, boy. Will Mizzou get the road monkey off their back? This has not been a great place for the Tigers historically. Should I specifically say Mizzou's Tigers? I should say that. The other Tigers,
the
I
Tigers,
guess they're a little bit better there.
They've had wins. Mizzou, though, am I wrong? They've only ever played one game in this stadium.
Oh, let me check that. I think you might be right.
I think that the only one we're thinking of is the only one they played there.
I think since joining the SEC, I think that is true. I can't recall if maybe before then, way back when, but I don't
think so. I was checking this out earlier in the week, and of course, we're talking about the Nate Pete game where he had that fumble through the back of the end zone in overtime. That was a 17-14 loss in 2022. Prior to that, according to MUTigers.com, they played in 2017 in Columbia. They met in Atlanta, obviously in 2013. And had a neutral site game. I guess it would have been a bowl in El Paso, Andy, back in 1973.
Like that's Sun Bowl, right? Yeah.
That's your history between these two programs. It's not voluminous, but there is some storied history when you think about a couple of those games that we recall. Both of the ones we recall the most probably on the losing side, although last year added a fun win to the ledger. But that was at home. And, of course, Mizzou's had its troubles on the road.
And they've got to try and shake those. That'll be the main question as they head into this one. Who you got, Mizzou or Auburn? We'll give our predictions here soon. We'll also give our predictions for the Chiefs and Raiders. We'll have our SEC rooting guide, and we'll have our picks of the week at 5:45. So don't miss any of that. Give us a call or a text at 875-KTGR. Tweet us at KTGR Big Show and find us on Facebook at facebook.com/KTGR Big Show.
Now, the Big Show's Big Deal.
Yeah, since 2022, Mizzou has not won at Auburn yet in their history, really. That's the only other meeting, but a chance now for them to get that first road win as they take on the Tigers on the Plains for a 6:45 kickoff tomorrow evening. You can hear it on KTGR with the Yingling Tiger Game Day Show beginning at 3:45. No news is good news on the injury report, essentially. The availability report, as it's officially named. No new players for Mizzou added to that report. Still Logan Reichert questionable this week. He has not played yet this season for the Tigers due to an injury. Again, 6:45, they kick off tomorrow. On the Chiefs side, they did officially rule out Josh Simmons dealing with a personal matter. He has now missed back-to-back games for the Chiefs. They play the Raiders at noon on Sunday. That's the Big Show's big deal on this 17th day of October, 2025. Call or text us here at 875-KTGR. So we saw Auburn get favored very early in the week. It switched to Mizzou not very long afterwards and has basically stayed at Mizzou -1.5 for most of the last few days. And I think that's about right. Mizzou is the better team, but I think there is still some margin left in there for how Auburn has played opponents at home, even though it hasn't resulted in a win just yet. And I think you also bake in the fact that, look, Mizzou's going to have to show people that they can go and take this show somewhere else. There are a lot of folks, I'm sure, looking at Mizzou saying, boy, how lucky were you to get 6 straight wins not 6 straight wins, but 6 straight home games. And now all of a sudden, this is as late as you could be starting a road schedule this year. I don't know if I like how you're going to look in this game. And look, I think it's valid. I think the complaints or the skepticism around Mizzou in this game is valid. I don't think it should take away from the fact that as long as Mizzou handles their business, does not beat themselves, there should not be a question as to who wins this game. But are we ready to say definitively that that's going to happen?
Yeah, it's coin flip territory. If you got a point spread at 1.5 and the other team was favored to begin the week, it's definitely as close to a coin flip as you can get. We refuse to sort of believe it that way and view it that way as Missouri fans, because this is a necessary win. It's a must-win game if you're going to continue to have those playoff hopes and aspirations. We can stop talking about the college football playoff if Missouri loses this game. And I know technically, well, Brenden, couldn't they run the table and go 10-2? Yeah, sure. But our focus is in the wrong place if it's a loss at Auburn, because you mentioned it like they've played well at home. They've played well in general, and they've played good teams close, whether on the road or at home. Remember last year, Missouri's first road game was in College Station, Texas, and that thing went...
That was not close.
Brutally wrong.
No.
Yeah, Auburn's played there this year, too. They lost by 6 to an A&M team that's arguably better this year than they were a year ago.
Yep.
The top 5 team in the country right now. So Auburn, whether home or road, has had results that tell you they're not too far off from being comparable to the upper echelon of the SEC. But they're not in it because each and every time they found a way to lose. Whether you can blame a referee's call, you can blame a call a referee didn't make, whatever you're going to chalk it up to, Auburn has not been able to get the job done in 3 consecutive conference games, Oklahoma, A&M, and then last week it was at home against Georgia. Mizzou's got to be the next in line of teams that can take Auburn and frankly just kick them while they're down, because I think they're a better team than the record indicates. But if you play a college football season and your record's 5-7, like at the end of that season, you can't say, oh, we were better than the record indicates. Guess you can. Nobody's going to listen. And that's sort of where Missouri has to, because every year, multiple times per year, we see teams like in Auburn, just where they're, slated in the SEC, end up with a couple of wins against teams that thought they were better. I think Mizzou's better than Auburn, but that's no guarantee that you're going to go in and win a football game just based on what you think on paper is the case.
And you're playing a desperate Auburn team. Like they need it. They need it themselves. They call it a must win almost, even though they're underdogs, I'm sure. Like how many times are they going to come up short in SEC games like this? I know that they've got a tough schedule, but like they got to work with what they got. And if they're going to be bowl eligible, like if they lose this game, can you get there? I'm not looking at their schedule right now.
Tennessee, Mercer, like you could certainly get there without this one, but they don't want to settle for bowl eligible.
No.
Like I think 6-6 can get Hugh Freeze fired this year, Andy.
I agree.
They want to progress forward in his tenure, not stagnate. And I feel as though you lose this Missouri game and it's not as close as maybe we're indicating it could be, you might not last to Monday. I really think that's a possibility that Mizzou could play the Grim Reaper again under Eli Drinkwitz. We've seen that a number of times over the recent seasons in conference play. I'm not predicting it per se because my final score prediction for this game is not going to indicate a blowout. But then again, you lose another one close that Auburn can come away from it thinking, oh, we should have won. I don't know how much patience they're going to have for that in this regime. So it is a huge game in the Hugh Freeze regime at Auburn. There is no question about that.
Call or text us 875-KTGR with your score predictions for Mizzou and Auburn. And we've gone back and forth as to what Mizzou needs to do for a game like this. But do you, in fact, think that the passing attack is more important than the rushing attack for a game like this for Mizzou? Because it might feel that way.
Yeah, I mean, I could see a game where Hardy and Roberts end up with similar rushing totals to what they had against Alabama, and Mizzou wins it on the virtue of Bo Prabula playing his best game, right? Like, I'm not necessarily predicting that the running backs will be limited again to about 50 yards apiece. I think it's going to depend in part of, like, what's the time of possession and how much can Missouri establish it a little bit more than they did against Alabama based on just the fact that they went 1 for 10 on third downs and didn't have the football enough to really establish it the way that we had seen in the previous power conference opponent games. I think it's possible, Andy, that's the way that we look at this playing out. Is Auburn's a little more susceptible to the pass than Alabama was. They have a good defense. Statistically, they have a good defense. According to metrics like FPI, they have a top 15 defense, actually a little bit better than Alabama's. So if there's a way to attack them, I think it's through the air. How Missouri and Kirby Moore and Eli Drinkwitz find a way to balance that, the notion that, maybe the best way to attack is through the air against this team versus we sure asked a lot of our quarterback against Bama, and he wasn't able to come through. Now we're taking him into a road environment for the first time as a starter in high major college football. Would that not be an opportunity to try to force the issue, lean on your running backs a little bit more? They got to find that balance, Andy. I don't think it's going to be one or the other, but I think the balance is going to be important, and you're probably going to need elements of both to be winners in this football game.
And the thing is, I am not nearly concerned about Bo Prabula's passing total or even his touchdown total in this game. All I care about is him not turning the ball over. Like, you need a clean game.
You know what, though? I'm going to push back on that. Let me ask you this. Well, because I look at the way we're talking about Jackson Arnold coming into the game, and they'll say, hey, don't fumble the ball. because we've seen him fumble games away against Missouri.
Sure.
It was with Oklahoma. He had the fumble at the goal line against Georgia. That's a little bit unfair because he was diving for the goal line trying to score a touchdown.
It was a touchdown. Yeah.
And it was a touchdown, right? And that's a little different than when I think about like the time Marquise Johnson was stretching for the goal line and you didn't have to. It would have been first and goal versus the quarterback trying to sneak
Arnold had it tucked. Like he was trying to sneak it. And
different. That was the play call, right? So a little bit of a different circumstance there. As much as I will kind of bring up the fact that, hey, this guy fumbles, that one was a little bit different. But I think about the fact that he hasn't thrown any interceptions, and yet the way that Auburn in their fan base would talk about Jackson Arnold this year, it's like he's been very limited. He hasn't been able to progress the ball down the field through the air quite the way that they're hoping to see, especially in some of these big-time conference games. It's enough for Bo Pribula to not make mistakes, but I also think he needs to be the aggressor a little bit and be able to. You can't just wilt like a flower and say, well, we're not going to try to make any mistakes, because that's going to be what takes Mizzou out of its game, and then 13 points is going to win it over 9 in this kind of matchup. Like, I do think he's got to push the issue a little bit, but you're right. Mistake-free football is probably number one, but do you do it to the detriment of having a willingness to try and force the issue and make plays and let your playmakers make plays on the outside?
See, that's what I think he needs to lean on. You have playmakers. You can use them. I think that's what Kirby Moore is going to have to try and figure out in this game. He realizes, like, okay, Auburn's got a weakness when it comes to the pass defense. So let's see what Bo Pribula can do, but let's also make sure that we're not putting him in extremely tough situations where he's got to fit it into more often than not some tight windows. I mean, maybe he's going to have to make a tough throw here and there.
Sure.
I understand that comes with the territory, but I think Mizzou has the ability to utilize guys like Johnson and guys like Kevin Coleman, Donovan Olubade to get some yards after the catch here. Let them be the guys that rack up a few more of these passing yards for Bo Pribula. That way you can still have that aggression in the passing game, but also not ask Bo Pribula to make throws where more than likely he's going to be putting the ball in some sort of danger. Because
if it's a tight window, especially, and it's anything but like third down where it's just like you kind of have to force the issue on a third and long.
I just think when you're playing Auburn and you're in that crowd and the way that Mizzou lost last week, like, do not beat yourselves. Like this, you can't hand them free opportunities. And I agree. I get it. Jackson Arnold also is tough hanging on to the football, whether it's lost fumbles or interceptions, whatever. And Mizzou, I'm sure, can still make up for a Bo Pribula mistake by getting a takeaway themselves. But I don't want to see it. I want to see them dominate that aspect of the turnover margin when they go on the road like this.
And by the way, like, arguing between, hey, Bo either needs to take care of the ball or be aggressive, it doesn't need to be an either or. To your point, the short and intermediate passing game is where he found success against Kansas, against South Carolina. It's not the narrative that it was when, I'm trying to remember which season it was, but we saw Brady Cook toward the beginning of the year, like, wow, they don't take any deep shots. And we talked about it every week. And then he would take one and then they would miss wildly. It was either 23 or 24. I don't even remember which of the 2 years it was. But it was like that was the pervasive narrative at the time. And then, eventually they'd connect on some, and we talked about it less. I don't even need Bo Pribula to be that type of quarterback right now. I don't need him to take the deep shots if it's not there. Certainly, I would like for his eyes to be the best part of his performance, though, on Saturday, because his eyes betrayed him, where on a couple of occasions he tried to fit a ball in that on that particular play wasn't maybe the best, safest, most productive option he could have chosen, but he ends up maybe locking into that number one read and saying, like, it's this or bust. Take a deep breath, take a step back. It's a lot to ask of a young quarterback in an environment like this one's going to be. But that's what I would look for from Bo Pribula, is like, take care of the ball, and the mistakes that you make, don't let it be a mistake of, if you had just had a little bit more of an awareness of the situation, you're making a different choice. And that, like, a matter of execution of the simple play, of the best play, is something that we've seen from him prior to the Alabama game, I would say pretty regularly. And then in the Alabama game, maybe there were a couple of times where the best, most simple play wasn't the first read, but he was locked onto that read, tried to make something happen that was forcing the issue more than was necessary. Be aware of when the aggressive attempt is necessary versus when there's another good option that can get you 8 to 10 yards. And that's probably the one you should be looking for. Scanning the field, it's a lot to ask of a guy about to play his first road game, but I think that's more of it, Andy, is like, stay within yourself. And if you live to fight another down as well, because oftentimes if you take that mentality, you're not going to be forcing something into a major mistake. And you might even be progressing to read number 2 to be able to make a play it's not Herculean. It's just the play you're supposed to make.
And look, with Mizzou's defense and how I think they have an edge in a game like this, where I think they can get to Jackson Arnold. I think they can hold this rushing attack at bay. The front four will be key. They've got to play the same way that they have really all 6 games. I haven't had too many complaints about what the pass rush has done to this point. I thought they had a great game against Alabama. I got eventually into the second quarter,
really
third quarter.
Half.
Like, the way that they shut things down there. So I will say that with a guy like Bo Perbula playing in that first matchup, like as long as he doesn't turn the ball over, I'd be fine with him getting close to 200 yards, but maybe not quite there. Ahmad Hardy gets you 80-ish on the ground. Jamal Roberts gets you another 40. And maybe Perbula uses his legs a little bit more in this game. Maybe that's
sure.
an impact that he can make against this particular defense, since maybe they struggle against the pass, but eventually you can find some wiggle room to run against this.
And you
team.
can run too. Le'Veon Moss was the A&M running back. That was a home game for the Aggies, but he went 21 carries for 139 yards. So I'm not counting out Ahmad Hardy from this game at all. I will say this, as far as like, what do they do against running quarterbacks? We expect Marcel Reed to be able to run the ball. He did not at all at A&M. But again, we know that's a
that's hard to figure
situation.
out. Yeah,
that's hard, right? Because you just don't know exactly what was the game plan that day. I'm not just looking at that though. I kind of do go, all right, maybe not a ton on the ground going to be available for Bo. Gunnar Stockton was 9 for 26, did run in a touchdown. Just for whatever that's worth. Like game to game, it might be a little bit different, but I think they'll be aware that primarily they have to stop Ahmad Hardy, and that could be what opens up avenues for Bo. Maybe a little bit of the read option stuff that you could throw at them and see what they make of it too.
So call or text us with your score predictions for Mizzou and Auburn this weekend, 573-875-KTGR. All right, do you have a score prediction here?
Yeah, it's not going to be one that I think lights up the scoreboard in this game, Andy. I don't think so. Over under, let me check on the updated number. It's 43.5. It's been steady and holding there. Okay. You ready for an ugly one? I'll go Missouri 20, Auburn 17. I think it's like a race to 20 potentially in this game. And obviously if the first quarter is, 10-7, then maybe we're talking about something different, but I don't really expect necessarily for this game to really progress very far in the scoring department. It's going to mean that your field goal tries matter. Your opportunities in the red zone matter, and where the game could be lost is, gosh, if you're in the red zone and then you do turn the ball over or something like that, those mistakes are going to be amplified in a game that I don't think is going to be that high scoring.
That would be too much of what happened at Jordan Hare the last time that Mizzou was there.
17-14 in overtime. That was the final of that game.
Missed field goals, offside on field goals. Fumbles at the goal line. Oh, man.
Touchback on the goal line.
Yeah. Change the rule, first of all. But I'll say...
Protect the football. We know that this year. That's not happening. Bold prediction. Yeah. That's not happening in this game because the Marquise Johnson play already happened, and they can remind everybody, hey, don't do that, please.
No, that will not happen. I'm just saying. And now, I mean, I will still stump for that rule to be changed, but I would say that I would stump for other rules to be changed above that nowadays. Just with how, like, I'm more like, let's get to targeting. Let's get to levels of targeting first.
They need to fix targeting.
To like other stuff.
I'm not one that's going to really overly complain about the referees when I'm just accepting going in that there's going to be things wrong. Ask Auburn fans this year how SEC referees do. Man, there will be calls in this game that will either go for you or against you. And largely, unless it's the final play of the game and you get super burned on it, I don't expect to be coming in here on Monday and saying the refs are the number one reason something happened, win or lose for Missouri. There will be moments in the game where they factor in, but I kind of think about that rule through the touchback of the end zone play, similar to, you know what, there were some Mizzou fans that thought the referee shouldn't have called taunting on Zion Young. And I said, nope, that's taunting by the letter of the law. That's just taunting. You have no business doing that. Don't do it. I feel the same way about stretching the ball through the end zone. You just have no business doing it. Don't do it. Whether I like the rule or not doesn't matter.
All right, I'll say 24-13 Mizzou wins.
That'd be epic. I could use a non-one possession game and have it be a win. because even two of Mizzou's wins that were not one-possession games felt like it because you trailed against Kansas and South Carolina. I would love 24-13. That would make me a happy boy.
I would love nothing more for this win to feel very sleepy. Like just kind of like just the defense is.
Oh, for sure.
Is what's mostly what you're
like
leaning
it's 10
upon.
to 3, like the whole game, you're up 10-3, and it's just like,
and you maybe get really out of it,
but
you drive late to get a touchdown to put you up, and then maybe another thing happens, you get another score.
That'd be awesome.
I would love a sleepy win like that from Mizzou.
This isn't gonna be sleepy. I'm just telling you right now. I would love it. I don't predict it. I just do not predict it. Hold on to your butts. It's gonna be something.
Well, either way, you can call or text us with what you think. 875-KTGR here on The Big Show. You can give us your score predictions for Mizzou and Auburn. And either way, what will not be sleepy, we will have an excellent time over at the Deuce Pub and Pit. You can come and watch the game with KTGR. This is going to be a lot of fun. Us and Yingling partnering up. There's going to be an amount, I've been told, of Flight by Yingling while it lasts that you can get for free if you show up. You can also show up and potentially get a free KTGR t-shirt. We'll also give you a chance to win some future home football game tickets. There's 2 home football games left against Texas A&M and Mississippi State. So you can come by, give yourself a chance to win those. Of course, it's a great place to go and hang out, the Deuce Pub and Pit, every single weekend, but especially when the Tigers are on the road. So you can go and join us at the Deuce Pub and Pit around game time tomorrow. Be sure to RSVP as well on our website, ktgr.com. You can also let us know you're coming on Facebook at KTGR Big Show on Facebook. Be sure to let us know and come see us over at the Deuce Pub and Pit. We'll have a lot of fun watching the Tigers take on the Tigers on the road. Get all the details on our KTGR app. All right. While that's happening, we'll also be looking at the other SEC games.
The other TVs.
There are multiple TVs at the Deuce Pub and Pit. I can confirm. What other games are you paying attention to? And do you have rooting interest in it for Mizzou's sake? Call or text us at 875-KTGR. We'll have our SEC rooting guide next here on The Big Show.
The Big Show with Andy and Brenden continues next on your total sports station, KTGR.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Let's talk numbers, because if you're a fan of stats, you'll want to hear this. Flight by Yingling has just 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's light beer that actually brings some game day flavor. Whether you're at the tailgate or watching from the couch, Flight delivers that crisp, refreshing taste without the extra baggage. Brewed by the oldest brewery in America, so you know it's legit. Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer. DG Yingling & Son, Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
Hit a deer, win a cow. Hit a deer, win a cow. Hit a deer, win a cow. FPP, Easy's 1, 2, 3. FPP, Easy's 1, 2, 3. FPP, Easy's 1, 2, 3. Award-winning auto collision repair. Don't wait, we're great. We work with all insurance companies. We work with all insurance companies. Yes, we work with your insurance company. New Bloomfield, Missouri. FPPBodyShop.com. 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 Fletcher, Performance and Paint.
Go, go, go! Sir, the bugs have taken over the entire neighborhood. They took out the Thompsons, the Joneses, and the Smiths.
I don't know how much longer we can hold on. Calm down, soldier. Reinforcements are on the way. Holy protector of pest control.
Steve's Pest Control is currently en route.
As the season changes, you may notice spiders, wasps, and mice trying to enter your home. But don't worry, the pros of Steve's Pest Control are ready for battle. Before the fall invasion attacks your property, calmly, quietly, pick up your phone and call us at Steve's Pest Control. We've been protecting businesses, homes, and neighborhoods all over Central Missouri for years, and we can protect yours too. I'm Steve with Steve's Pest Control. We will eliminate your pest problem and stop the fall pest invasion. I guarantee it.
Now you got a friend in the pest control business. Steve's Pest Control.
Hey, it's Molly from Billiards, and we're gearing up for football, y'all.
Molly, football's already going. Take 2.
Guess it's time to put on my cuddle duds.
Molly, that's not till November. Take 3.
Well, I guess we'll talk about the pumpkin spice menu items at Billiards.
Molly, at last check, we have nothing on the menu with pumpkin spice. Take 4, and you hate it.
When some things feel wrong, Billiards just feels right.
Yep, that'll work.
Look at on down for burgers and beer. Billiards on Broadway.
Whoops, don't know if I saved that.
Josh!
Back to more of the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. You've got The Big Show on the KTGR app.
All right, who you got? Mizzou or Auburn coming up tomorrow at 6:45. We'll start our Yuengling Tiger Game Day show at 3:45. Our Yuengling watch party at the Deuce Pub and Pit at around 6:15 before kickoff at 6:45. So be sure to join us for all of that. And again, if you can't make it out to the Deuce Pub and Pit, that's all right. Just listen on KTGR. You won't miss any of the action. Mike Kelly and Howard Richards, of course, always doing an excellent job on the call each and every week. Chris Trevino on the sidelines. It is excellent. So go and check out all the coverage there. And in the meantime, Brenden, big SEC weekend.
Huge.
I mean, loaded.
And this stinks, dude.
Yeah.
We're the last game this time. Normally, recently, it's been like, all right, we can kind of, focus on our game, and then you get some night window or something to get to enjoy.
Yeah.
And now it's like we're going to be kind of tense all day. But if you need to be distracted from the nerves of the night game in Auburn, you can be distracted. There's opportunity abounding to do that all day long.
Oh, yeah. Every window loaded with some big-time matchups. Let's start in the SEC, of course. Let's go to LSU and Vanderbilt. Who are you rooting for?
I will be rooting for the Vanderbilt Commodores. Mizzou faces Vanderbilt. Hypes up that matchup upcoming a little bit more to have Vandy coming in with the win. I think LSU is a team that you do not play, and to feed them a loss that you cannot influence, I think is to the benefit of Missouri.
That is correct.
Ding, ding,
ding, ding, ding. Yes, yeah, exactly. That's
we
it.
debated
yeah,
some of these last week.
So
no,
that is as cut and dry as it can get. I believe that LSU. Now, here's the thing. I just think that if LSU loses this, I actually think they're done. Because then they got Bama.
They can win out, but yeah.
A&M. There's some toughies here.
Frankly, it's like Mizzou losing to Auburn, because Mizzou would then have to win out to go 10-2.
Yeah.
LSU, if they lose to Vandy, would have to win out to go 10-2. And we know that there's still tough games remaining for Mizzou. Even tougher for LSU, though. You're right. A&M, Alabama, at Oklahoma. You're probably not getting through that unscathed.
Yeah, and the other thing is Vanderbilt, because the matchup with Mizzou will be even bigger the next week. And I also think Vanderbilt will have some other tripping spots, too. They got to go to Texas still. They got to go to Tennessee. The other games are Auburn and Kentucky. Like, they host both of them. They won't lose to Kentucky. Auburn might be interesting, but you can afford them getting a win, and then they could also have in all likelihood, I think they'll finish with either 3 or 4 losses.
And even if they don't, I don't know that Mizzou makes the playoff without beating Vanderbilt, right?
Right.
Like,
yes.
Let's say they beat Auburn, lose to Vandy.
Yeah, no.
You're talking about then having to win out, and then you're in that 10-2 bucket, which would be not a bad loss. But I'm just telling you, like, if they lose at Vandy, I'm not as confident that they'll run through the final 4 games and sweep them.
Yeah,
right?
I understand
these 2 road games need to be a win based on just tiers of difficulty of your schedule. Like, I would say that your most difficult games remaining, the 2 of them, are at Oklahoma and hosting A&M. You can decide whichever order you want to put those 2 into, but that's where I think you need to be able to buy yourself some wiggle room. And again, if you're losing this quickly, like you're picking up a second loss before November, I'm just in terms of my view of the caliber of team Missouri is, I don't think it is playoff caliber relative to the rest of the league. So anything can happen, Andy. Like they'll still come into that A&M game hoping to win it and then say, hey, look, you win your final 3, including at Norman, and you're still 10-2. But I have said you can vouch for me on this. I've said for weeks, Mizzou Vandy is a play-in game. And I still believe that is
for the playoff.
I've said that for weeks, man, because I believe that if Vandy beats LSU and Missouri beats Auburn, obviously both teams could still lose thereafter. But I view it as the team that wins this game in Nashville is going to make the playoff. I still believe that. Because
I view it as an elimination game, but maybe not a play-in.
But it's not an elimination game either, though. Like if Mizzou beats Auburn and loses to Vandy, they're not out.
Yeah, but you can see it. You can see it kind of starting to crumble there, and I think same thing for
sure.
Vanderbilt. It's kind of they would both come in with basically the same record, and then you get handed the second one. And you're right. There's still a path, but you have zero margin for error. And I just don't think either of those two teams are capable after that loss to then run the table afterwards.
I think it's likely the loser is very likely to miss the playoff. The winner, I believe, is very likely to make the playoff.
Okay.
Because Vanderbilt goes to Texas. Don't tell me they can't win that game. And they go to Tennessee. At that point, if you're Vandy and you beat Mizzou, you can afford to trip up in one of those games and handle the 2 easy road or the 2 home games, Auburn and Kentucky.
Yeah.
In Missouri's case, you could trip up to A&M or Oklahoma, only one of them, and you'll be favored in the other games. So that's where I'm saying, like, I think that is a take that I've held for weeks and weeks and weeks, and it's maybe going to come to fruition if this weekend goes the right way. But I agree. We're rooting for Vanderbilt to beat LSU to set that up for both Vandy and Missouri.
Okay. This one, I think, also very cut and dry. Oklahoma at South Carolina.
Yeah.
Root for the Gamecocks.
You do. Because Mizzou, again, if you're thinking about resume, Mizzou's played both these teams, and we know they've already beaten South Carolina. Getting Oklahoma another loss could send them reeling.
Yep.
Could send them reeling because they just lost to Texas, and that's a rivalry game. They lose this game that they're not supposed to lose on paper. Suddenly, you beat them in Norman, they're eliminated. They've got other ways to be eliminated. Eventually, it's going to come down to if all these teams are 10-2. I do think head-to-head is going to come into play for as a tiebreaker, not the tiebreaker. So you're still going to want to win at Oklahoma to best Oklahoma, but there's a realm in which they drop more than one of their remaining games. Tough schedule left for sure for the Sooners.
It is
if they lose to South Carolina, Andy, their season could, again, like Mizzou losing to Auburn, I'm thinking 7-5, 8-4. That's kind of your range for Mizzou if they lose this Auburn game. If Oklahoma loses to South Carolina, you're kind of talking about the same thing there. I mean, there's a very distinct possibility that they don't win very more games the rest of the season. So, yeah, you're rooting for the Gamecocks absolutely in that game to win it outright.
All right, how about Ole Miss, Georgia?
Well, let's talk about it. Ole Miss hasn't lost a game, or did they lose to somebody?
No, they are undefeated.
No, they're clean.
I have a clear answer on this.
Okay, what do you got?
Ole Miss.
Why is that?
Eventually, you're just going to have to root for teams to just go to the SEC championship game. If you're a Mizzou team that is,
this was my stance a week ago. There's going to be a 12-0, and like if there is, that's
there
great.
Could be a couple of 12-0s. You know what you need to root for right now? Well, I mean, I guess Alabama is not technically going to go 12-0, but they don't have a conference loss.
They're not going to lose in conference,
and they are not going to play Ole Miss. You need to root for right now an Ole Miss Alabama SEC championship game. I think that's what you need.
Which pins a loss on Georgia. They've already. Georgia's already got the loss to Alabama. If somehow Ole Miss can pull this off, which I am a skeptic that they can, Georgia would be pinned with 2 losses, playing a rivalry game against Florida. Maybe Billy Napier's fired, and that actually helps Florida to try and like pick itself up off the floor. Georgia has to go to Georgia Tech, which will be no easy matter. That doesn't apply to the SEC hierarchy, but Georgia losing a third game would be problematic for Georgia, and they host Texas as well. So, yeah, Andy, I don't think either way it's devastating, the result of this one, because, like, if you pin a loss on Ole Miss, then the pressure's on for them going to Oklahoma, hosting Florida. But the problem is there's not any other games that you really project them to lose besides Oklahoma. So even if they lose 2 in a row, that's bad timing for the Rebels, because then, you would be basically starting the CFP rankings with them having just picked up 2 losses. But that leaves them no margin for error, and that's the same team in Lane Kiffin's group that lost to Kentucky last year. So I do prefer for sure Ole Miss to win it for every reason you said. It's not the worst case in the world. It would direct us on how to root for Georgia versus Ole Miss moving forward based on what happens here. But there's a path.
Yeah.
There's always been a better path for Georgia to lose 3 games than there has been for Ole Miss. So that's where I'm at on that one.
And look, I'm not even necessarily confident that it's going to happen. Landon saying on our YouTube channel, he says that Georgia is going to dog walk Ole Miss, pun intended. And look, that very well could happen. Very well could.
Yeah.
But I think if you're rooting for Mizzou's sake, go ahead and root for Ole Miss.
Ole Miss would be a nice surprise. It would be a pleasant surprise if they can get that done. Yes.
Mississippi State, Florida, I don't think really matters. If you want to, I guess, see Billy Napier fired before they start to get some games that could be important and could help you down the road. If they get upsets, then they get a bounce from.
But he might get fired. He might get fired after a win based on everything that's coming out of Gainesville right now.
That's also true. Yeah.
But the boosters have already told the AD, hey, we're not supporting financially this regime anymore. Mississippi State putting the nail in the coffin on Florida. Maybe Mississippi State looks better when they come to town, but it's not. This is on the lower end of the hierarchy of things we should care about.
I don't think it matters.
Be fun to
much.
see the upset, though. Yeah, doesn't matter a ton.
Texas at Kentucky. I mean,
you skipped one.
Did I skip one?
Going by time. The A&M Arkansas. Did we talk about that?
Oh, I did it. I did skip that. You're right. Root for Arkansas.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, you play both these teams. I do like the idea of hosting A&M while they're ranked in the top 5. But again, you still play Arkansas. Like, having it be muddled, I think, is to Mizzou's advantage. And if we're going to already say, hey, we're rooting for Alabama and Ole Miss to kind of be that SEC championship, you do need someone like A&M to start losing. They play at LSU. Like, if LSU can drop this one to Vandy, then we can look at A&M and say, hey, hopefully LSU beats A&M and things can start breaking right for Missouri. This was painful, though, for me, Andy, to admit, because I would love to see Mizzou get to topple a top 5 team coming to town, but I do think it makes sense to root for Arkansas here.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you need to root for the usual script that an A&M season goes. Start awesome, and then lose 3 of 4 or 4 of 5 or something like that.
But I will say this: I'm not going to be heartbroken if A&M handles their business the 2 games coming into Mizzou, because they can knock out LSU entirely. Basically,
sure. Yeah.
Especially if Vandy gets the job done, so they can be toast, and you can start rooting for LSU to win every game to knock other teams out, and they'll be top 3 or 4 in the country when that game happens, and that would be meaningful for the resume boost, because otherwise Mizzou's going on the road and winning some games that are nice, but none of them have a sticker shock like knocking off top 5 Texas A&M could. And you lost your chance at that with the Bama loss. So that's one thing that I would look at and say, not the end of the world if A&M's continuing to win, but then that is a team that you're not probably pinning a second loss on them. If they're unbeaten coming to Mizzou, I don't really think they lose again.
All right. Texas is going to beat Kentucky. But you can root for Kentucky.
I'm rooting for the Cats, dude.
Yeah, why not?
That's not impossible at all.
Go ahead and see that. They're 13.5-point favorites. Texas is. I would be shocked if it happens, but hey, college football, weird things have happened already, and so
at Kentucky,
yeah,
I mean that could be a 9-7 game,
And then Tennessee, Alabama, 3rd Saturday in October. Alabama's who
you root for Alabama.
You root for. Yep.
Unfortunately, Mizzou's not going to get the resume boost from having beaten Bama, but when you look at the resume they've built, Andy, I mean,
if they go into the SEC championship game at 11-1, they're in.
Well, or even 10-2, because they'll be 7-1 if they drop a conference game. That could still get them in because they've got key wins over other contenders. They've got one over Georgia. That'll be a tiebreaker.
I think it may be. You probably want to see that more so than anything, though. I think it's because I don't know if you want to see A&M there. I would want it to be Ole Miss, Alabama.
I think that's the good thing to root for sure. I'm just saying, A&M doesn't play Alabama, so if both of them are 7-1, because Mizzou beat A&M, I don't really know who's going. Mizzou, if they're 7-1, it's too early to really know exactly with that. I would say though, this is a spot where I don't think Tennessee's that great, and there's not a lot of chances for them to pick up losses. So for them to lose this one puts the pressure on them, because they'll need to beat both Oklahoma and Vanderbilt, and they got to win in the Swamp. They'll have to do them all. They go to Kentucky, but like you said, not likely. So Tennessee losing here puts the pressure on them to have to win out to make sure they're still 10-2.
We'll see if they continue to do that, but I think it's actually pretty clear to me how the SEC games should go for Mizzou's sake. Now,
and by the way, one more thing on Alabama. Sorry.
Yeah, go.
Alabama's 10-2 automatically beats Mizzou's 10-2 now with the head-to-head. So there's no real reason to root for Alabama to get a loss relative to Mizzou's standing. Like, Alabama's above you in the playoffs unless they lose 3 times.
Yeah. All right. Elsewhere. Okay, this one might be kind of sneaky, but you need the ACC to be a one big league, or as much as possible. So that means Georgia Tech needs to lose. They're at Duke.
They still ain't lost yet?
They're 6-0. They're number 12 in the country.
Yeah.
So I think
does 11-1 Georgia Tech with a loss to Georgia?
Oh yes, that gets them in.
Do you think even when they lose the ACC championship to Miami, they won't punish them?
Yes, those are losses to 2, especially if Georgia is in the mix there for
but there's a who have you beaten sort of element to this. That in like last year, wasn't it SMU 12-0 and then they lost the ACC championship?
They were 11-1.
Were they?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. I just wonder because here's the thing. Last year, SMU, there was no real argument for the SEC teams that thought they were snubbed because they all had 3 losses. If Alabama had been 10-2 last year, if they don't lose, say, to Vandy, or if Ole Miss doesn't lose to Kentucky and they're 10-2, I could have seen either of those teams being placed above SMU after that ACC title game loss. So I'm not saying, it's just apples to apples, but the only reason SMU snuck in last year, even if they deserved it, don't care about that. The reason they got in was because the SEC teams that could have taken care of their business to get to 10-2 didn't do it.
Yeah, that's true.
So this year, if there's 5 SECs at 10-2, they're all in above 11-2 Georgia Tech, in my opinion. That being said, I think Georgia Tech's going to beat Georgia, so it's a moot point. Yes, you're right. We need to find a loss for Georgia Tech.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think Georgia Tech. It's in Atlanta. I think Georgia Tech is going to win that football game. But you're right. Duke is favored in this game tomorrow at home, and they've picked up losses. They've lost to Illinois. I don't know about conference wise, but I don't worry about them as much as like running the table and getting
Duke is 3-0 in the ACC so far.
Yeah,
their losses
Illinois, I think, is there.
Yeah, Illinois and at Tulane.
They've got 2. Okay, perfect. Duke can run over them, and that would be
Duke can win some games. They can hand some losses to. Yeah, I don't know if Duke plays Virginia at any point. Virginia is maybe another team that the Duke plays Virginia at home as well.
So we're rooting.
Root for Duke to win both those games. Because they'll probably trip up somewhere else. They don't
need to. Their 10-2 is not beating an SEC's 10-2. It's just not. They have to win the ACC championship game in order to.
Which if they win those games, then they probably will be there.
They'll be there, and they'll lose to Miami by 3 touchdowns, and everybody will say, "Bye, Duke. Thanks for playing. You were 10-3. Not relevant."
I sure hope that's the
case. I promise you, a 10-3 ACC runner-up is not beating an SEC 10-2.
Promises in college football.
I'll put anything on it.
Well, the thing about Duke is that I don't know what the committee's going to do. I mean, it's all that, but the AP hasn't ranked them yet. So I feel like it would be safe for them to pick up some wins and be fine.
And they'll lose to Miami by 3 touchdowns. Like, it's not going to be a problem.
And then elsewhere, you can look at, the Big Ten seems to be technically a Big Ten game. Not really. Because Notre Dame's not in a conference.
Right.
But
so, you're looking for USC to win a game here. If you can, on the road.
Yeah, I think so. Although
that's 100% right.
Where's USC going to lose then, though?
What's their current record?
Well, they're 5-1. Only loss is a 2-point loss at Illinois. You think they'll lose at Nebraska? You sure?
They're going to Oregon. They're going to Nebraska. They can lose one of those games. Notre Dame is the one that, and by the way, like if USC makes the Big Ten championship game and loses it, and that's their 3rd loss, nothing's guaranteed.
That'd be so unfair, though.
That would be unfair to USC for sure, but they would have lost a non-conference game against Notre Dame, and that would, you know what I'm saying? Like that could end up. But here's
the thing: they will not get into the Big Ten championship game with 2 losses. Ohio State losing twice, Oregon losing twice.
Who's USC's? They lost to Illinois. You're right. It's safe to root for Notre Dame. Like Notre Dame loses, they're done. No more conversation about Notre Dame. this is your last chance to get a loss on Notre Dame. And if you don't, they're too high in the AP for me to think that the committee won't do the same thing with them when the first ranking comes out. Notre Dame at 10-2 doesn't feel like a great resume, but I think it gets in, or it's at least in a very uncomfortable conversation against some SEC 10-2s. Based on where they are in the AP right now, we know that that's probably going to show you something about where they end up in the CFP when it starts.
Okay, and we'll see what else happens.
Holy War, is there anything in the Holy War that matters? BYU could lose it, and that would at least get them a loss. Because you want the Big 12 to be a one big league,
I'd
too.
say root for Utah there. It's probably not going to happen. I would actually take BYU to win that game, but Utah will.
They're favored.
Utah,
no, they're not. Utah's favored.
Yeah, Utah's the favorite by 3.5, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I say root for Utah. I don't know if it happens.
Yes.
Utah will trip up at some point, I think, in Big 12 play.
And they've lost to Tech. That's
right.
their one loss right now in conference.
Yeah, I mean.
Actually, yeah. So
I don't
think
think
that's
it
right.
matters who it's going to be a 2-loss team. I would predict being the other team in the Big 12 championship game.
Yeah, you're going to want Texas Tech to win that Big 12
title game. You really need
game.
Texas Tech to win that. So,
but here's my take on like any of the teams from these other conferences that are undefeated right now, like a BYU. It's easier once that first CFP ranking comes out. If you're still unbeaten, it's going to be harder to dismiss you because then when you lose, you'll drop some, but the climb will then begin thereafter. And so I'd rather every Big 12 and ACC have a loss other than Miami and Tech coming in just so that they're punished and they're not like too close within striking distance when that first ranking comes out. So I'll root for Utah here.
Call or text us 875-KTGR here on the Big Show if you want to weigh in on our SEC and college football rooting guide. Under the bus next. More troubles, I suppose, in Chapel Hill. That's next.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Mizzou goes to Auburn for its first road game of 2025. Mizzou's Tigers come in ranked number 16 in the AP poll. Auburn unranked after 3 consecutive SEC losses. They're 3-3. Mizzou looking to get to 6-1 overall and 2-1 in SEC play with a victory, and also looking for their first win ever at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Kickoff at 6:45 tomorrow night. Yuengling Tiger Game Day show begins at 3:45 tomorrow right here on KTGR. Chiefs left tackle Josh Simmons ruled out for Sunday's Chiefs game against the Raiders. He has been dealing with a personal matter all week. It also caused him to miss the Chiefs' most recent game against the Lions last Sunday night, and so he'll miss back-to-back games. Jalen Moore figures to get the start at left tackle for the second straight game as the Chiefs get set to take on the Las Vegas Raiders. Kickoff set for noon on Sunday at Arrowhead Stadium. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast is with Advanced Tree Solutions, your tree's best friend, AdvancedTreeSolutionsLLC.com.
I'm Storm Track meteorologist Sawyer Jackson. I'm tracking scattered storms staying to the north throughout the rest of the evening, so it will be mostly dry for some Friday night football. Tomorrow, though, walking out the door, showers and storms will be a bit more possible. Activity really starts to pick up by 12 to 2 p.m. tomorrow near the I-44 corridor. That activity extending up to the north throughout the afternoon hours by 3 to 6, so plenty of us are going to be seeing lots of rainfall and lightning throughout the afternoon. I'm Storm Track meteorologist Sawyer Jackson, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
Always ahead of the curve? Seem to know what's going to happen? Like a prophet? Prove it, Nostradamus, with Profit Shares. Predict the outcome of every black and gold game or whoever your favorite team is. It's all at Profit Shares, and it doesn't cost a thing to play. Make your predictions risk-free and win prizes like gift cards to Amazon, Chick-fil-A, and other favorites. Or donate your winnings to charities. Contests are open now. Play for free at ProfitShares.com. PROPHET shares.com.
You know your former golf bag? It's not just holding up the weed whacker on your garage wall. It's also holding cash. Same goes for that rowing machine you swore you'd use once. At Play It Again Sports, turn your gently used gear into money in your pocket. Bring in your old golf equipment, fitness gear, softball bats, baseball cleats, and more. Cash out and keep it, or trade up to something better. Play It Again Sports in Columbia. Think of them first so you don't finish last. Play It Again Sports, ColumbiaMo.com.
I'm Michael Agnew with API Project Fitness. At API, we're dedicated to helping you reach your fitness goals with workouts that are motivating, challenging, and effective. Our group classes are high energy and designed to maximize your time with efficient movements and smooth flow. There are real results here to find, whether you're just starting out or ready to push it to the next level. API is where hard work meets progress. Everyone needs a fitness routine. Let us be yours. Sign up today for a free trial at apiprojectfitness.com.
My name is Taylor, and I have had insurance with Phyllis Nichols and her team for over 9 years. One of my first and only auto claims for me personally came when we were on a long road trip, and I was maybe following a semi-truck a little too close, and we all know when those rocks pop up, crack your windshield. First thing I did the next day was call Phyllis. Phyllis handled the whole thing. She got us into, I think, one of the local vendors to replace our windshield, and within 24 hours, it was done, it was over, and made it a very seamless process.
This weekend, cancel your plans. Brunch is calling at the Dive Bar in Columbia. Start with biscuits, not just any biscuits, local made, buttermilk, sweet corn, even gluten-free, smothered in scratch-made gravy, pork sausage, or the chorizo. Don't forget the loaded biscuit, fluffy omelet, drenched in gravy, stacked so high it's basically brunch art. And then there's the Dive Cristo, smoked ham, house-made raspberry jam, gooey cheese wrapped in a flaky puff pastry. The Monte Cristo wishes it was this good. Brunch Saturday and Sunday only at the Dive Bar in Columbia. Don't just eat, experience.
Right there. That hole opens up, and he did not hesitate to hit it.
Seriously. You don't have to live like this. Just trying to watch football and laugh at obviously hilarious things the broadcasters say. Your favorite team plays outside. You should be watching them outside on a Crutch's deck.
Yeah, he got penetration there, but he just couldn't finish it.
Get a custom outdoor football watching oasis with Crutch's Custom Exteriors. True beauty is on the outside. CrutchesCustomExteriors.com.
Pro Designs, but better than a billboard.
Hey, this is Jimmy with Pro Designs, and maybe you've heard, we're the vehicle wrap specialists, but branding your business doesn't stop there. At Pro Designs, we can wrap your walls, windows, even floors.
Go to ProDezigns.com.
Come see them at their locations in Eldon or Columbia off Rangeline Street and I-70.
Pro Designs, but better than a billboard.
They can't shoot it straight on the golf course, but they can shoot straight on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Back to Andy and Brenden on The Big Show on KTGR.
Things are still going great over in Chapel Bill. There's apparently leaked footage now from the NFL shows that Bill Belichick used to do, and it showed a little bit of the dynamic of Jordan Hudson and how she worked with Bill Belichick, essentially. Bottom line, Jordan Hudson runs the show. It's might not have been a producer on the show, but she runs the show.
She wanted to be.
Yeah.
She wanted to be, and Pablo Torre uncovering some more interesting information. And if that's how things are going right now in Chapel Hill, with her still kind of in the mix, dictating the day-to-day operations of North Carolina football, or at least the graphics they put out, yikes. Yeah, not a wonder they're losing the way that they are. They do play tonight at Cal, though. The spread has lowered since it opened. Maybe they're competitive tonight out
at
west.
Cal.
We'll see.
Oh.
Yep. -8.5 is Cal.
Go Golden Bears. Go Golden Bears, man. Come on now. Let's get this done. Also, it seems under the bus to Michael Lombardi in this whole thing, too. Like, has kind of gone behind the scenes and done some slime. I don't know. Fundraising trip reportedly to Saudi Arabia for one Michael Lombardi to try and help out North Carolina football as their GM. I understand that that's where all money comes from nowadays, Saudi Arabia. But seems like he is as culpable, if not more culpable, in the demise of this entire thing as Bill Belichick is to me.
I blame Bill, but I think you're bringing up a good point.
Like, it's just very, very tough. Like, I don't know how many more games they give it, but it's gotta happen at some point.
Watch them win tonight, and then it's like everything's great. That would stink. I'm rooting against them.
Man, to watch playoff Mad Max return last night for the Toronto Blue Jays. 5 2/3 innings from Max Scherzer to help them towards evening up that series in the ALCS with the Mariners. Saw that a Mizzou baseball contingency kind of went out to support him too. Carrick Jackson made the trip with some other Mizzou athletic staffers to go and support Max Scherzer there, making the start, and he delivered. I loved the manager's response afterwards, like with the mound visit he made, and
he didn't want to leave,
swearing at him. He's like,
"Yep."
Manager was like,
"Vintage."
I thought it was going to be killed. It rocked. I love that. That was awesome.
Yeah, good for him. And like it hasn't gone great for him in recent years with the injuries and not being able to sustain outings. And for him to show out like that in the playoffs and help him to win was cool to see.
So that series will live on to at least 6 games, maybe a 7th. Either way, we will have game 6 for you on KTGR on Sunday night from ESPN radio coverage starting at 6:30 for Blue Jays and Mariners. All right. NFL talk next. Who you got? Raiders or Chiefs on Sunday at Arrowhead. We know no Josh Simmons for the game, but Chiefs seem to look okay with Jalen Moore in there anyway. How will they look against the Raiders? And with last night's big upset, Bengals over Steelers, is there another one brewing in the NFL this weekend? 5:25, we'll discuss.
This is Nevada Schauke with True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, and I'm the Exterior Director of Sales. In the construction industry, the last few years, we've had a roller coaster ride. One thing that has stayed pretty consistent or common is that vendors have continued to raise prices on materials. We have called up to collaborate with some of our large vendors that we work with to offer some year-end promotions. If you're looking to replace your roof, upgrade your deck to composite, replace your old worn-out windows and doors, give us a call. We also offer several financing options to meet most budgets. Your project must be purchased by the end of the year. This is a unique opportunity to save some money on your next home renovation.
The difference between a house and a home is the attention to detail. At True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, we'll turn your vision of a dream home into a reality. For more information or a free estimate, go to TrueSunExteriors.com.
TrueSunExteriors.com. Everyone has their go-to game day outfit. Maybe it's a comfy black and gold hoodie or that old hat you wear because it still hasn't been to a losing game. Hi, this is Sophie Cunningham, and if you really want to stand out on game day, talk to the team at Betts Jewelers in downtown Columbia. Rock your favorite team's colors with a beautifully designed, one-of-a-kind custom piece of jewelry from Betts Jewelers in downtown Columbia, our hometown jeweler. MIZBETZ.
These beautiful moments begin at Betts. Begin at Betts.
1851 Underground in Fulton is a unique spot with delicious menu items like the prime rib sandwich, sliced and stacked with pepper jack cheese, caramelized onion, creamy horseradish, and crispy onion straws, all on ciabatta bread. Grab some friends and check out the daily happy hour from 3 to 5, weekends included. Enjoy a craft beer or a cocktail. It's no secret, but it is underground. 1851 Underground Tap and Grill in the historic Brick District, downtown Fulton.
KTGR AM Columbia, KTGR FM Fulton Columbia, K286CL Columbia, Mid-Missouri's total sports station. KTGR
is Sports Center.
I'm Ed Benkin. We are a few minutes away from Game 5 of the American League Championship Series in Seattle. It will be the Mariners and the Blue Jays in the pivotal Game 5 with the series tied at 2 games apiece. So far, the road team has won every game in the series. Later tonight, the Dodgers will look to punch their ticket to the World Series as they host the Brewers in Game 4 of the NLCS. They hold a commanding 3-0 lead, and Tommy Edmonds knows they're close to getting back to the Fall Classic.
Yeah, we're really excited. You know, it's been a bit of a trying year. We didn't play the best during the regular season, but, you know, we're getting hot at the right time and, just one win away. And
that win could come tonight. Our coverage on ESPN Radio gets underway at 8 Eastern. NFL news, Rams receiver Puka Nacua out for Sunday's game in London against Jacksonville. He's dealing with an ankle injury. Vikings coach Kevin O'Connell says it will be Carson Wentz getting the start on Sunday when the Vikings host the Eagles. J.J. McCarthy still recovering from an ankle injury. The third-string quarterback of the Cowboys without Trey Diggs. A home accident has put Diggs in concussion protocol.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Monday from the NFL to college football and, of course, Major League Baseball playoffs. And I'll recap it all in my Upon Further review at 7 a.m. Eastern. It's Unsportsmanlike, weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
From Faro.
15 to the 10, to the house.
Bush.
Back to the wall, and it's got her.
And Arrowhead.
Touchdown! Kansas City!
To your speakers.
This is the big show, baby.
Get fresh takes on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Right now, this is The Big Show with Andy and Brenden on KTGR.
Tell us who you got for Raiders Chiefs this weekend. You can also give us your predictions for Mizzou Auburn with a call or text at 875-KTGR, leading you up to the big football weekend here on The Big Show with Andy and Brenden. Also, which teams could be upset, maybe similarly to how the Steelers were last night against the Bengals in the NFL weekend, too. I've got my eye on a couple that could be possible this weekend. That could be similar to what we saw last night. We'll get to that at 5:25, and then our picks of the week coming your way at 5:45. Call or text us at 875-KTGR. But first, it's 5 o'clock.
It's time for the Top 5 at 5 on The Big Show. Number 1.
If you want to trade away for curtain number 1, you can have curtain 1.
Well, it's been a long time coming, but the first road game for Mizzou football in the 2025 season is just over 24 hours away from kicking off down on the Plains. Auburn, Alabama. Mizzou, Auburn, 6:45 Central Time, start time tomorrow night. You can hear it on KTGR. It's a must-win game for Missouri if we are to consider this team still a college football playoff contender. Too many tough games down the stretch to consider it anything but that. Frankly, like for this team to even be the caliber of an opponent that I think would be considered for the playoffs, Mizzou's got to win it. When you look at the teams that have recently lost to Auburn, yeah, they're all teams that still think they can make the playoffs. I'm not saying Auburn's a bad team. I'm saying they're playing that role in the SEC this year. If you lose to them, you're probably not going to the CFP.
Number 2.
Number 2, your timing is impeccable.
Chiefs left tackle Josh Simmons ruled out of Chiefs Raiders for noon on Sunday at Arrowhead Stadium. He's still dealing with an unknown personal matter and is away for the team. Rashee Rice, though, will return from his 6-game suspension and is expected to be a full go, completely integrated back into the offense. We'll tell you coming up who we've got in this matchup, but with the Chiefs so heavily favored, is there the potential for a little bit of a letdown in terms of whether or not they cover the point spread? We'll talk about that next.
Number 3.
The St. Louis Cardinals announced today a number of surgeries that they've had in the offseason. This is kind of different from the way John Mozeliak did things, where you deny it until you get to winter warm-up and, oh, yeah, that guy's in a cast. No, it seems as though they're going to be up front and tell you that Brenden Donovan had a sports hernia, repaired it. Avon Herrera cleanup procedure on the throwing elbow, which we knew was coming. Lars Dupar, a weird one. Hagelin's deformities on both heels were shaved down surgically. That doesn't sound pleasant, but time will tell on the recovery for each of these. I'd expect all three to be ready by the start of next season. The question is going to be whether they're all still Cardinals.
Number 4.
Oh, shanked it.
How about that from Mad Max? 5 2/3 innings of 2-run baseball last night for Max Scherzer in the ALCS, tying the series up for the Blue Jays 2-2 as they won 8-2 in that matchup. He had a shouting match on the mound with the coach. Didn't want to be removed from the baseball game. Sounds like vintage Scherzer. Good to see, and good to see some Mizzou contingent that was in the crowd for that one as well, including Mizzou baseball coach Carrick Jackson. Game 5 tonight in the ALCS. We'll see. That's a series that could potentially go 7.
Number 5.
What is the foul? Fingers, side of the face.
I know we're talking more about like coaching carousel than recruiting right now, and high school recruiting just doesn't matter like it used to, but it should be noted, Mizzou keeps getting recruiting wins, and their class ranking for 2026 is now up to 27th in the country.
That's The Big Show's Top 5 at 5 on KTGR.
875-KTGR if you want to call or text us. Yeah, the Tigers landed Taj Overton today, who was a former Oklahoma State commit. And obviously, they fired Mike Gundy not too long ago, and so he breaks away from that commitment, goes to the Tigers. Top defensive lineman in the state of Oklahoma. Not bad. Like, that could help you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and you're right. Eventually, Mizzou was going to get this rolling again. They were going to have some more commitments in the fall and eventually have a ranking that maybe didn't crack the top 15 like some Drinkwitz classes did 2-3 years ago, whenever it was. Certainly the Burden class was one that was like a highlight of that part of Drinkwitz's game. But I think here you get to about a requisite number. You're in the top 30-ish, and maybe you crack the top 20. Who knows? I don't think you need to, but you do have to have a good, solid influx of talents. Grab a few 4 stars, see if they can help you right away, supplement with some depth behind that. And yeah, the transfer portal is still going to be important, but I still think having this type of foundation could be important going forward too.
Yeah, I don't really care about high school recruiting, but it's nice to have. I don't think it's a necessity to even be a top 50 class, honestly, if you're going to kill it in the portal.
What do you mean, like a top 50 class?
I don't care about high school recruiting. If you kill it in the portal and you have a top 5 transfer class, if you didn't have a top 50 class in high school ranks, I'm not really going to.
Yeah, but the thing is, Mizzou hasn't had classes below the top 50 really at all.
I know, and I'm saying if they did, it wouldn't bug me in 2026
because even the portal can't even mask that. Like you still have to have some. No, not really. Because the fact that Mizzou, this has happened because Mizzou has had a raised baseline of their recruiting in general, and just everywhere across the board, high school and transfer portal. They both work in tandem. Yes, high school recruiting is not as important as it once was, but it is not zero. You're saying it's zero?
No,
it is not zero.
No, you're saying it's like 40%, and I'm saying it's like 5%.
It's not 5%.
Okay.
It's at least 30%.
Andy, I'm happy Mizzou is doing well compared to what they were doing for that 26 class.
And a lot of it is due to the fact that they've also had very strong high school classes that are now juniors and seniors. Would this team be the same without Connor Towson or Dalen Carnell or other guys like that?
I am glad they're doing better in the class of 26. I'm also saying if they hadn't, it would not have fazed me.
Well, the way that it was looking in the summer, I'll say this, what's changed for Mizzou is that they don't necessarily need a whole lot of commitments, I would think, in the summertime anymore, because Eli Drinkwitz and the staff have had a good job of identifying, okay, who can maybe flip. They've sometimes feasted off of, coaching firings.
They have this time,
players like breaking away from their commitments because of that. And then they come in and say, hey, you can come and join us. And they also, like, Drinkwitz noted this also in a press conference earlier this year, I believe earlier this month, before a game, but just like having the importance of a senior season in high school and how you show progression there too.
Yeah.
Is important. Like you want to see growth and not just what you're doing in your first 3 years of high school. You want to see what players are maybe breaking onto the scene later. And then Mizzou is able to gobble up some of those players in general. But look, like, I mean, it will build up to a point that is, I think, key for Mizzou to get at. And then they add to it in the portal. And this is how they've created this. It's not just been the portal. It has been.
But to your point, if you're waiting for somebody's senior season, you're not getting 4 stars. Like those guys aren't going to be given that requisite ranking because that's not the way really that the recruiting services function. So I kind of am agreeing with you but I'm saying, no. But you're talking about letting a senior season play out, and then maybe you add some commitments later on, and it boosts your ranking. You can go that way, or like they could pick up a guy in a month that is a 3-star that nobody really thinks very much of because he didn't do anything until his senior season. But Mizzou's going to think he's somebody that can help him, and that's not always going to be reflected in the recruiting ranking. So that's why, again, I say it doesn't matter to me if they're 25th, 45th, or 55th. I'm not really going to be fazed because I'm just kind of leaning back on, A, I know that the portal is going to be a significant factor, and B, like, even the high school guys they get, it may not always be reflected with a great recruiting ranking. I'm not saying get 0 high school players. I'm saying I don't really care what the ranking is. I'm just going to trust that whatever they land is probably for a reason. So
it's more about the rankings and how you view that.
I don't care. I still don't care about the ranking.
But again, you've been confluencing like high school recruiting versus high school recruiting rankings, and you're saying they're both bad. Like I think high school recruiting
I'm not saying they're
good.
I didn't say anything was bad. I don't know where you're getting so upset about. I didn't say anything's bad. I just said I don't care if they're ranked outside the top 50 in the recruiting rankings. I didn't change my answer. That's what I've said from the beginning. It just doesn't really matter to me anymore.
Well, if they're outside the top 50, that means they probably didn't get very many good players from the high school.
Maybe
rankings.
They picked up some guys that the stars rankings don't think is as good, but they identified them in their senior season, to your point, and they end up having a class of, however many players they need, but they're not a bunch of 4-stars. It's nice when they get a 4-star, but no longer are we. I mean, Andy, they've flipped like 4 or 5 of them over the last week, and we've said none of their names until today.
Sure.
It just tells you that, like, we don't have to pretend that it matters like it used to. It just doesn't really matter to me. I didn't think I was saying anything controversial. You don't have to,
But you're saying that it doesn't matter, but then you're saying you don't care about the ranking as much. I think high school recruiting still matters. I wasn't even necessarily saying the ranking matters.
Well, yeah, you told me outside the top 50 ranking would not be would
but
be
it's
a big
reflective
problem.
of you getting players that can help you, and it still is true. Donovan Alubade right now is helping this team. High school player.
100%. And I don't know what star he was.
He
I
was
have no
4-star.
idea.
He was a 4-star guy. So it still is important to get a requisite amount of those for what Mizzou has been able to raise their game as every single year in recruiting. And usually by and large, that brings you up to a certain ranking. But I think it is more important to identify the players.
Get the right guys,
right?
Get the right guys. I don't care what their stars are, which was kind of the Pinkel way of that was more because that's kind of all they could recruit at the beginning.
Had to do more with less. Yeah.
But that's still something that can work in college football too, I think.
And look, it's not to say that for sure Taj Overton is going to just light it up right away because he's a 4-star. Again, 4-stars can, sometimes not.
It goes both ways. Yeah.
So we'll see. But you gobble up as many as you can that you think can fit, and a few of them might fit, and I think it helps you along the way. So we'll see. But Mizzou, I don't know where they'll finish. If they finish today, 27th, I think that'd be okay. But for how it would look going forward.
Yeah, I will have especially now that they're getting some names, like they're getting bodies in the room, I will have no reaction to any variance they may have from 27th up to 10th down to 50th. It's just, to me, it's all based on what the recruiting service says. And again, I think we agree that you can find diamonds in the rough later in the process that their value may not be fully reflected in what the recruiting ranking says.
Call or text us 875-KTGR here on the Big Show. If you want to talk some Mizzou with us, get your score predictions in for Mizzou and Auburn coming up this weekend. All right. Chiefs Raiders also this weekend. We now know there will be no Josh Simmons, and we don't know what it is. We probably won't know for a while. And so
I don't expect him back soon. So yeah.
It's probably something that the Chiefs are going to have to deal with. I am encouraged by how Jalen Moore played in his first start with the Chiefs. And so I'm not going to have too much of a concern about how that will look, with the exception of this. The one thing that has been the thorn in the Chiefs side, or particularly the one player that has been a thorn in the Chiefs side.
This matchup.
Yeah. Has been Max Crosby.
He's that guy.
Yeah. That guy is back. So that will be key. Jalen Moore is going to be an important player in this game. Juwan Taylor is going to be just as important on the other side. So that's gotta be held in check. Max Crosby can get in the backfield once or twice, but you got to hold him in check a lot of this game.
Yeah. Yeah. And you just don't want to put Mahomes in any dangerous situations. I mean, thinking long-term, that's the last thing you need is something to happen to him. But I think largely, it's not as though the Chiefs are unaware of his existence. I think you probably be conservative in the way that you game plan to give some extra help when needed for situations like that. And it could make for a tighter game, though. Again, if you're constantly thinking about, okay, just don't let this guy wreck your game, you're probably going to lose some advantages in other places if you're trying to have an extra tight end in there to block or running back chip or whatever you're doing to try and maybe have a double team against that player. It could lower the upside a little bit of the Chiefs being able to just truly unload in this game. It is at home, so you feel better about that. But I don't know. This is anytime you see lines this big in the NFL, and we'll talk more about, upsets that could happen this weekend. I mean, last night, the Bengals, I think coming in, you would have said, oh, Steelers are just the better team. Bengals haven't been able to do anything, and Bengals won that football game. I don't think that happens here with the Raiders and the Chiefs, but it could be closer than anticipated for sure.
First of all, noon game, very rare for the Chiefs nowadays.
Sleepy.
First ones, maybe a little sleepy. It's 11 a.m. kicks at home. Dang, come on. Got to wake up to play football. Gosh, Mahomes isn't used to this anymore. It could be that aspect to it. I don't know. But the aspect of the Raiders circling this game every single year. Their fans, their players, their coaches. This has even gone to coaching staff to coaching staff. It has not mattered. They've played tough in this game, and they played 2 close matchups with the Chiefs last year at both locations. And so I see this as one where maybe the Chiefs do have to scrape and claw a little bit. Maybe their offense doesn't look all the way high-powered as it did the last few games. I still think they probably still pace what this game looks like going forward. I don't think the defense will essentially carry the day like it did for the Chiefs in games like this one the last couple of years. I still think the Chiefs win this because their offense has taken to new life, and Rashee Rice is back, and it adds the new wrinkle. It adds the new layer. And so now you get to see what this is fully going to look like with, like, it may not necessarily be the hierarchy now, but you looked at before last season, Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, all on the same field. It never happened last year, not one game. Now it's finally happening.
Yeah, and those results recently against the Raiders have been kind of squirrely. Last 2 games were the 2024 games. You won it by 2 with that crazy situation at the end for the Raiders, and you won in Las Vegas by 7. The prior game to that was when Patrick Mahomes killed Christmas, famously.
Yeah.
And so it's been a minute since the Chiefs have really dominated one of these games. I think offensively, though, they're going to kind of have their way. So, like, I'm, as much as I say, hey, we have to be aware that this has happened in recent history of this rivalry, I don't know, other than Crosby just completely wrecking the game, which I guess could happen. Other than that, how are you slowing down this offense with what they have on paper?
Especially with how they protected. Like, the line as a whole has not been, I think, a net negative to this point. They've gotten better and better. No, they don't have Josh Simmons, but I think Jalen Moore has proved to be capable. And I don't think you have too many concerns with how that looks. This is the cleanest pocket Mahomes has had so far to start a season in a while. And so I feel a little more calm on how the Chiefs can have a game plan for Max Crosby. If in fact, and like, look, Raiders have lost a few guys on that defense too. And so it's not like they have too many other places that they can turn. They played fine so far on defense this year. They're middle of the pack, I think, in most areas. So I think for the Chiefs' sake, there's not really much you have to do differently other than, all right, know where Max Crosby's on the field, be aware of that, maybe make sure that that's where the running back splits out, picks up a blitz in that area so that you can mind your attention with your offensive lineman onto Crosby. That would be the way to play it. But I actually don't have too many concerns for that going in for a guy like Max Crosby.
Yeah, I don't really. The more I look at the matchup, unless it's just fluky, funky, I don't think the Chiefs have that much to worry about. Season opener for the Raiders, they open on the road, beat the Patriots 20-13, which is a win that's aging even better as time goes along. But the other 2 road games that they have played, they've given up a lot of points. 41-24 loss to the Commanders, and then a couple of weeks ago at the Colts, 40-6.
Yeah.
So, like, the Chiefs getting into the 30s at least would not really shock me, and the over-under is only 45.5. So this, as much as I kept talking around this game and thinking maybe I'll predict it's a Raiders cover, I don't even know if I can predict that.
I think it is close to one. Actually, I do think it is. It's close to a Chiefs cover. My prediction is 30-20.
Oh, so you will give it to the Raiders.
Yeah.
Narrowly.
Narrow.
Okay. I'll go 31-16. I think Chiefs are just fine in this one.
Does Pacheco go over his total?
He's fine. He'll be around it, whatever it is. If it's changed much since yesterday, it's actually not that high. 50 yards is a plus money bet, so he's at 46.5 officially right now. Yeah, he could get to 50 yards. I don't think that's like instructive in either direction on what we could see as far as their outcome. I think they pass enough. I think, if you give 50 to Pacheco and 20 or 30 to Hunt and they just throw all over the Raiders, I think that's a pretty good day. The noon start does scare me a little bit, but I'm like, there's nothing on paper that would make me predict that this game is squirrely. So I'm just going to say maybe it won't be for the first time in a while.
Just don't be the game that Red Zone turns to and says, "Oh, it's getting close," in the witching hour. So
yeah, don't be a witching hour feature. Be the one that they ignore until Mahomes throws another touchdown, and they want to just make sure you get to see it for fantasy purposes on Red Zone. That's what you want from this game.
So call or text us with your score predictions for Chiefs and Raiders, 573-875-KTGR. Look, last night, Flacco winning the Icy Hot Bowl. Is there another upset in the making in the NFL this weekend? I see at least one possibility. We'll get to it next year on The Big Show.
Follow The Big Show on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And keep it here on your total sports station, KTGR.
Hi, everyone. Andy Humphrey here for ProfitShares.com. If you haven't signed up yet, now's a great time. Totally free to play. You can go and sign up at ProfitShares.com, and they give you a set of profit dollars. That's what they call them, to go and play in certain weekly contests so that you can make predictions on some of the football games happening this weekend. You can also guess what's going to happen in the baseball postseason, several other things that you can choose from. And the more you get things right, the more your profit dollars build up, and then you can use those to redeem them for gift cards to places like Buffalo Wild Wings, Chipotle, Chick-fil-A, so many more restaurants. Or you can use that total to make a difference to some great nonprofit organizations like Folds of Honor, Boys and Girls Clubs of America, so many more. You can also play for a cause. The more that you build up, you can join a group and say, hey, I want to play for this organization, or I want to play for this school. And whichever nonprofit or school has the most points built up, well, they win that week. Go and play now. It's PROPHET, shares.com, ProfitShares.com.
At Hearing Aid Consultants, we are growing, and I couldn't be more excited. As a local family-owned business, our next hearing instrument specialist needed to be family too. I'm pleased to introduce you to my daughter-in-law, Lori.
Thanks, Kim. It's exciting to be part of the Hearing Aid Consultants family, and I can't wait to help individuals on their hearing journey.
Come see us in Jefferson City. Hearing Aid Consultants in Allmaker Repair Lab. We are here for you today so you can hear tomorrow. HearingAidConsultants.com.
Buckeye Buyers Club members get a 5% rebate on every purchase now through the end of the year. That's right, 5% of your entire purchase will be given back to you as a Buckeye gift card on top of your already great deals. All you have to do is use your Buckeye Buyers Club account at checkout. Not a member yet? Join today for free by visiting Buckeyes.com and clicking on the Buyers Club sign-up button. It's easy, it's free, and it's only at Buckeye. Shop online anytime at Buckeyes.com.
From Branson Landing to the Capitol Dome, Union Station to the Tigers' home. Big old service is Missouri's best. Our trusted team outpaces the rest.
Get our healthy car special for only $39.95 from your Missouri-owned and operated Big O.
Show me safe coverage wherever you go. We've got you covered at Big O.
You know your former golf bag? It's not just holding up the weed whacker on your garage wall. It's also holding cash. Same goes for that rowing machine you swore you'd use once. At Play It Again Sports, turn your gently used gear into money in your pocket. Bring in your old golf equipment, fitness gear, softball bats, baseball cleats, and more. Cash out and keep it, or trade up to something better. Play It Again Sports in Columbia. Think of them first so you don't finish last. Play It Again Sports, ColumbiaMo.com.
Let's talk numbers, because if you're a fan of stats, you'll want to hear this. Flight by Yuengling has just 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's light beer that actually brings some game day flavor. Whether you're at the tailgate or watching from the couch, Flight delivers that crisp, refreshing taste without the extra baggage. Brewed by the oldest brewery in America, so you know it's legit. Flight by Yuengling, the next generation of light beer. DG Yuengling & Son, Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
Tired of calling Andy and Brenden? So are their wives. Then shoot them a text right now. 573-875-KTGR and become part of the Big Show.
Chiefs Raiders this weekend. Hopefully that's not where the big upset is in the NFL. Call or text us at 875-KTGR. Score predictions for Chiefs and Raiders tomorrow, noon kickoff. You can hear the game on our sister station, 96.7 KCMQ. Of course, the Chiefs, I think they're the best team in the NFL. They've yet to be above 500 so far this year. And this is another chance for them to do that. Thought they would definitely get it done in Jacksonville. Instead, that went the other way. But look, the offense should be what is the most encouraging part of it. It's what everyone had questions about, and now those are fully answered. And so with Rashee Rice coming back, they should be a force. They do have to show it, though. They've got to prove that they can stay atop the AFC.
Yeah, and I mean, they're not atop it right now in the terms of the standings. They're third in their own division, but I don't think any of us expect that. I mean, they would be pulling the rug for sure if the Raiders come in and win this game, because then you'd be talking about a 3-4 Chiefs team, maybe losing additional ground to both the Broncos and Chargers. It would be a real shock and seismic enough to really change my opinion on the team if it did happen that way. But I just don't expect it right now as we approach the weekend.
There's a 5-1 AFC team and then 6 4-2 teams right now.
Yeah.
After the Steelers lost last night. And I don't see all 6 of those 4-2 teams as being all that flawless, if you ask me.
No, and the 5-1 is the Colts, and I'm loath to believe that they're the best team in the conference.
Well, probably not. I think they'll make the playoffs. I think they've shown that they're capable of that. Their offense is awesome.
Yeah, it's working well.
Jones.
Yeah.
Do we see them as an upset candidate this week, though? I guess technically they're. Well, actually, they're not even favorites.
I do not see them as an upset candidate because they're underdogs. So no.
That just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know.
At the Chargers. Home game, sort of. They don't really get home games.
They don't have a home field advantage there.
I bet Colts fans will travel for that one.
Yeah, there will be more Colts fans at SoFi. Colts win that game. Elsewhere, though, by the way, what was the spread last night? Do you know? It
was 5.5.
5.5.
I was on the Bengals actually, so that was that worked out
nicely done. So I mean, that mildly surprising upset, if you will.
To win it outright, yeah. But it's just one of those things where right when you count out an NFL team, it seems like they can. And the Steelers hadn't really beaten anybody significant either. Their record was good, but they weren't. Nobody thought they were a great team. It was a good, compelling game. I enjoyed the Jamar Chase of it all. That was fun for fantasy football.
Hey,
yes, keep throwing him the ball, please.
Keep going there. T. Higgins had a nice night. And then
could have had a better night, but he slid. It was the right decision to slide.
Right decision. Well done, T. Higgins. I think that it could be the Titans getting it done.
Fired the coach.
Fired the coach.
Yeah, what do you got?
They are 7.5 or 7, really 6.5 in some places. Underdogs at home against the Patriots. I mean,
oh man, that would be topsy-turvy because I'm just ready for the Patriots to be good now. Their schedule is weak. Their quarterback is
I'm not.
good.
I'd like
you
them
don't
to
like
be
Mike
middling.
Vrabel. I think I wouldn't take the Colts. I would not take the Titans in that game. I don't know about them covering. The Patriots covering a touchdown on the road. That's a big ask, but I think they'll win it by 5 or 6.
The Patriots will?
Yeah, I think the Patriots will be okay on the road there.
Titans are winning on a field goal.
Cam Ward can play, but I don't. We'll see. I'm not going to bet the new coach bump for the Titans just yet, but it wouldn't shock me because Callahan was a nightmare.
He was a nightmare. I do think that just a slight reset during this week, maybe wake them up and, well, yeah, I'm a little biased towards or against Mike Vrabel. I would like to see him come back to Tennessee and lose. Assuming
that is an interesting kind of reverse revenge narrative. One of them's getting revenge, I guess. Other interesting underdogs. I want to ask about the Saints because that's one that you just don't think it's in Chicago taking on the Bears. The Saints are plus 4.5 as I'm looking at it now. The Bears showed me something with that win over the Commanders. And frankly, if you are in that difficult NFC North as the Bears are, and you're wanting to at least get yourself in the conversation about probably not winning the division, that would be unbelievable because I think they're the 4th best team in the division. But wild card very much in play. If the Bears can, pick up the wins they're supposed to win, this is one that if you lose it to the Saints at home, you're going, oh my gosh, what an opportunity to let go. But they've won 3 in a row right now after starting 0-2.
It's not bad. So you think that maybe the Saints?
I'm just asking if the Saints are dangerous here if we're talking about surprise upsets, because again, I think last night not many would have said outright for the Bengals, right? They could have said, they'll lose by a field goal, they'll cover.
Right. Yeah.
This is one the Bears have got to have to kind of progress that Ben Johnson era forward. But the Saints anybody in the NFL can be squirrely.
I think they'll get it. I'm not sure about the Saints on the road. I'm certainly not sure about them in general, and I'm sure as heck not sure about them on the road. If it were at home, I'd think about it.
Ideally, it's not close. The Bears just put up points, right? Ideally.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have to win it ugly, win it ugly. I don't care if you win 16-15. The Bears need that win. That's a big one for them. Just
and
to
I think because
maintain
of
status quo.
Because of that, I think Ben Johnson will have the team right and ready to go for it. This will be like one of their main tests of like, okay, a team that's coming in that is very clearly inferior to you, but you've got to start piling these up and in order to be taken seriously, you have to not lose against teams that are inferior to you. So that's how you earn a little bit more respect in those games that'll be coming up later.
And here's a weird quirk of the schedule. They beat the Cowboys at home on September 21st, but their last 2 wins, both by a 25-24 score at the Raiders and Commanders, those are 2 road games. They play this home game on Sunday, but then they're back on the road at Baltimore, at Cincinnati. So it's a 5-pack of games where you're only playing at home once. You want to take advantage of that and really kind of propel your team into another, 2-week road trip, basically, where we expect more of the Ravens and Bengals than what they've been this year, but on the road, those will be 2 challenging games. I'm rooting for the Bears. I think they should use more Luther Burden than they've been, but I think they're going to start to.
Obviously. Call or text us 875-KTGR. Which upset could you see brewing in the NFL this weekend? How do you feel about the Cardinals at home against the Packers? They're about 6.5, 7-point underdogs there too.
That's one of those that there's no business that this should be a thing. But
right, but
the Packers haven't. Yeah, what I want to check here before I make a determination about this one is I'm thinking about run defense. I want to know, where are the Cardinals in run defense? They're about middle of the pack, 102 yards a game, 13th, but they've been a little bit more generous over their past few games. Because if Josh Jacobs on you, then you're going to be in trouble trying to keep up. Like, Green Bay wants to get out ahead. They want to control the tempo, and they want to run over you. I think Green Bay is probably okay in this one. They got to show me something too, though. I mean, relative to kind of where I expected them to be at this point, they're 3-1-1. You had the weird tie against the Cowboys, game that really feels like they should have lost it. You lost to the Browns. Like, let me see a dominant effort. I don't care where this game is played. I think, again, not a spread that I really want to touch in either direction, but I want to see the Packers handle their business if I'm going to buy back in. It's like, because I put them pretty highly on my NFL top 5, bottom 5. I think I had them number 2.
Yeah.
And if you're number 2, you win this game by the touchdown or better.
I think that's right. This could be a place where I see it happening, but I wouldn't be as confident to like pick the Cardinals to win outright and steal this game away. I do think the Packers have the ability to at least
that's how I feel about most of
these.
Most of these spreads that are like between 5 and 7, most of them are like, underdog could cover. Don't see him win.
How do you feel about technically Tampa Bay Detroit is between 5 and 7.
The one I would say is the Bucks. That's a weird number, and I almost should be leaning the other direction because of how weird the number is. But maybe they're assuming the Lions are going to be extra motivated after the Chiefs loss. Lions have not beaten anybody legitimately yet this year. The Bucks are legitimate. Bucks plus 5.5 on the road. They could certainly win outright. I'm also not counting out the Giants to win on the road at Denver.
Oh, that's another one. Yeah.
The Denver defense is scary, but Jackson Dart's been running for 50 yards on everybody. He doesn't care. Like, that's one where if that game is a witching hour game in the very end, don't be surprised.
Very interesting. That's a 3:05 kick Central Time.
Okay, so not full witching
but still,
hour.
Like there's still a little bit of the the aspect.
Just
of
when
it,
you've stopped paying attention to the Sunday slate, here comes Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo trying to make it interesting at about 6 p.m.
Take down your soul, essentially. Like, put a wrestling move on your soul is what they want to do.
I'm once again not starting Jackson Dart in fantasy. I'm gonna put
I
Caleb Williams
dropped
in there
him
again.
already, but I just
No, don't do that. That Eagles game, I was thinking it was a Thursday night game, and I used Jackson Dart because of the Caleb Williams bye, and I thought, okay, let's hold on to him on the bench, and if he stinks it up, I'll drop him after the Thursday night game. And he was great against the Eagles. If he does it against the Broncos, we're having Rookie of the Year conversations. I don't care who else is. I don't care who else is in the mix. Like that would be something. Denver's going to win the game, but I'm eager to see once again Jackson Dart.
Rooting guide though, Chiefs rooting guide.
There's going to be one this year, folks.
Yeah.
There's going to be one. Denver's 4-2. You gotta get them some losses.
The Chargers, same thing. So
yes, you can root for the Colts. I think too, if you're a Chiefs fan.
Yeah, might as well go to the game. It'll be. It's not like a Chargers fan's going to take your seat. Go and hang out. 875-KTGR if you want to call or text us. Let us know which upsets you think could happen in the NFL this weekend. Already seen one. Bengals got the job done at home against the Steelers. What else could happen this weekend? And will we pick any in our picks of the week? Coming up next, we'll get to that as we close out this edition of The Big Show.
Now, your local Sports Center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. No new players on Mizzou's SEC availability report released last night. There will be one more released tonight and another 90 minutes before kickoff tomorrow as the Tigers face the Auburn Tigers on the road. First road game of the season for Mizzou, coming late this year after 6 consecutive home games to open up 2025. Tigers are 5-1. Mizzou's Tigers are 5-1 and 1-1 in the SEC. Auburn 3-3, 0-3 in conference play so far. 6:45 kickoff tomorrow night. Yingling Tiger Game Day show begins at 3:45 right here on KTGR. Chiefs left tackle Josh Simmons ruled out for a second consecutive game due to a personal matter. It figures that Jalen Moore will take his spot for another start at left tackle as the Chiefs get set to take on the Raiders for a noon kickoff tomorrow at Arrowhead Stadium. Mizzou volleyball with 2 matches this weekend. They host Ole Miss tonight at the Hearn Center, 7 p.m., and then host LSU at 2 p.m. on Sunday. Mizzou soccer, their final regular season home game will be Sunday at 2 against Arkansas. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast is with Advanced Tree Solutions. Give your trees the care they deserve. With Advanced Tree Solutions, your tree's best friend. AdvancedTreeSolutionsLLC.com.
I'm Storm Track meteorologist Sawyer Jackson. I'm tracking scattered storms staying to the north throughout the rest of the evening, so it will be mostly dry for some Friday night football. Tomorrow, though, walking out the door, showers and storms will be a bit more possible. Activity really starts to pick up by 12 to 2 p.m. tomorrow near the I-44 corridor. That activity extending up to the north.
All right, you there?
Oh, no.
All righty. You start with whatever you want.
Okay. For Monday's big show, I think we'll know the answer to whether Mizzou is still a contender for the college football playoff based on what happens down on the plains, Andy.
Yeah, and we'll start looking forward to the matchup against Vanderbilt the following weekend. Bill Connolly of ESPN will join us for some college football talk and a recap of our picks of the week. Done.
All righty.
All right.
Hey, real quick, I don't really know what it's going to look like exactly. I'll still be available, but I'm going to Nashville next Friday, and so I'll be kind of on the move during the show. I don't know if that means I call in, use a field tap, what I have to do, but it could kind of impact things. We might want to record our picks maybe like, I don't know how we would do it. In the morning, maybe, if the producers could call in. I have no idea, but it's something to think about since it's a week away.
I might be down both Billy and Ben next weekend, so we might just do it ourselves.
I wonder.
The producers
will
just text us what they want to take.
Sure. So we could do that. We'll just do it ourselves at some point.
I think so.
And fill them in.
That could be a day where I send you a StreamYard link and you can join that way. But either way.
Yeah, I don't know what, because I'm hoping that I'll be able to just like hunker down to Airbnb and have the ability to do some, have some semblance of the equipment and stuff, but I don't know what it's gonna be just yet.
Okay.
So that's all I know for today.
All right.
All righty.
Cool.
We'll see it.
We'll see it.
Never have to meet. I70towing.com. Now serving Boonville. Winching.
From elegant weddings to corporate lunches with flavor and flair, Courtyard by Marriott Columbia brings the party and the pros. It's the home of Main Event Catering, and with every event, you'll get an award-winning chef, full banquet staff, and drop-and-go options for any size crowd. And the event center holds up to 300 guests with 8 flexible rooms. If you need help, there's a Marriott certified wedding coordinator on staff too. Book now by calling 573-443-8000.
On game day, every needs a. And every tailgate needs Kingsford charcoal. And a match. Whatever lot you're in, whatever you're grilling up for your fellow Tiger tailgaters, Kingsford charcoal is the official charcoal of Missouri football. Without it, you're just standing around in a parking lot. Since 1920, Kingsford has been proud to fire up your tailgates with friends and family. Kingsford.com.
Winter's on the way, so now's the time to plan your tree pruning. Here's why. In winter, trees are dormant, which means there's less risk of disease. Plus, without all those leaves, it's way easier to see exactly what needs trimming. The educated, licensed, insured, and experienced crew at Advanced Tree Solutions knows how to protect your trees and your wallet. But spots are filling fast, so schedule your winter pruning today at AdvancedTreeSolutionsLLC.com. Advanced Tree Solutions, LLC. Your tree's best friend.
If it's Mizzou sports, it's happening here. Now, back to the big show on KTGR.
Back here on the big show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Andy, Brenden, and producer Ben representing the producers today for the picks of the week. Yet another edition as we roll through more college football and NFL for this 9th weekend of our picks, at least. And I don't think this has happened yet, but I finally won a week. I did it. Finally.
Hey, there you go.
Congratulations.
Way to go, Andy.
3-2 this week. Brenden, 2-2-1. Another push for Brenden. Second push in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I would have taken the L too on Mizzou,
Oh, come on. I would have taken the win. That's where
I'm just saying, like I did say on the show, I would take the money line. I don't care. And technically the spread pushed, but I appreciate y'all giving me at least a push on that, even though I kind of opened my big mouth and said Mizzou would win the game. That's okay, though.
I mean, we all said it, too. We were all with you. But either way, producers went 2-3. Brenden still leads on the season, 23-15-2. Producers, even 500 at 20-20. And I'm at 18-22. So here we go with our college football and NFL. The games on our sheet: LSU at Vanderbilt, Oklahoma at South Carolina, Texas A&M at Arkansas, Ole Miss at Georgia, Tennessee at Alabama, USC at Notre Dame, Utah at BYU, and Mizzou at Auburn. Then the NFL games: last London game of the season, Rams and Jaguars, big game there. Eagles at Vikings, Colts at Chargers, Commanders at Cowboys, Falcons at 49ers. 2 Monday night games again, Buccaneers at Lions and Texans at Seahawks, and then, of course, Raiders at the Chiefs. I decide that the producers will go first, then Brenden, then me.
All right, sounds good.
There we go.
Rock and roll.
Let's go, Ben, with first pick this time around.
All righty. Out of the gate, and I feel like this might be really crazy, insane pick for the first one, but it's one that just jumped out at me, especially because of the line. And I wouldn't be surprised if Andy fades me or Brenden or whoever on this. I'll take the Raiders to cover on the road against the Chiefs.
It's a big line, and it seems like the past few times that they've played there, they've kept games at least close. I don't think the Raiders are going to win this game, but I think they'll keep this within a one-score game for maybe longer than what they should, and I think it'll end up being a one-score game when it's all said and done.
That is certainly Andy's jurisdiction. I will not take that. We'll see what he decides to do with it throughout these 5 rounds. But I think he might be onto something there, so I might stay away from that one. I'm going to start in the college game. There's some SEC picks that I really like this week. We'll see how many of them get taken from me, but I'm going to go with the one that I think is my favorite. Normally, I'm not so confident about a favored team with my pick. Normally, I'm trying to shoot for those underdogs. I think Alabama rolls Tennessee at home, -8.5. I just don't think very much of Tennessee's defense, and this feels like a double-digit win for the Tide.
I did not think that was going to be Brendan's first pick.
No, that's very much not my style this year, but I just look at that one and think, you know what? I think Bama's just the better team.
Okay, I'll take Mizzou, -1.5. That'll be mine.
I would have taken it, to be clear, but
that was
fair.
y'all's chance. I was going to take it there. All right.
That's fair.
Producer's second pick on our picks of the week.
All righty. I'll go to the college realm for this thing. I'll probably go SEC game, and I'll take Texas A&M on the road to cover against Arkansas. I don't like that it's 7.5. It was 6.5. I'd feel a little bit more confident in it, but I like the way Texas A&M has been playing, and Arkansas is just kind of a dumpster fire of a football program. I do think they'll pick up a few games here along the road that they'll probably end up winning in games that they probably shouldn't, but I don't think it's this week for the Razorbacks.
Okay, that was not one of the SEC picks that I was going to take. That might be a potential fade. I'm going to let Andy kind of I'm pushing the buck a little bit here toward Andy on a couple of these because I want to see what he does with them. I'm going to take another SEC favorite, and this is a line that I looked at, and I kind of have been using this theory in recent weeks where if I see a line and I go, whoa, really enticed by getting the points with the underdog there, I'm doing the opposite. I think Georgia -7 is an interesting line. I think Ole Miss is good enough to potentially win that game, keep it close. And so that's exactly why I'm taking Georgia, because the line to me is bigger than I expected. And when my gut tells me it's too easy, I'm just going to take the other side. Georgia -7, another heavy favorite in the SEC for me.
That's going to push, by the way.
Very good. Very easily could
push in 3 weeks. Doing our picks of the week here on the Big Show KTGR and the KTGR app. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll take Arkansas +7.5. Yeah, they're probably going to beat teams that they were not expected to beat. I think it's going to be this week. I think it's going to happen. Bobby Petrino's offense is back, baby. So I'm going to say that Arkansas, I actually like their chances to win it outright, but the added benefit of 7.5 points on that side too helps me out even more. So give me Arkansas.
Fair pick. I'll go back to the NFL realm for my next one, and I'll take the Commanders against the Cowboys. Cowboys are 1-point favorites, but I'll take Commanders. Basically a pick 'em in that game, but I'm not too confident in the Cowboys. They're very roller coaster of a team, up and down. So obviously after last week's disappointment against Carolina, I wouldn't be surprised if they bounce back and win, but I like the Commanders going on the road and picking up one in Dallas.
Man, I think I like the Cowboys on that one, but there are still too many college games that I want to get my say in. And maybe a little surprised that nobody took my second favorite team away from me here, but I'll go Vanderbilt -1.5 at home. I've been saying for weeks that Vandy was going to win this game. Mildly surprised that the rest of the country sort of agrees with me in the fact that they are favored at home, but I just think Vanderbilt's a better team than LSU this year. Offensively, I don't know if the Tigers can keep up with the Commodores. So give me Vandy -1.5 to set up what likely will be a top 15 matchup for Mizzou and Nashville next weekend, provided Mizzou wins its game and gets somebody above them to lose.
Someone should, if that's the case. I mean,
like Vandy's 17th, but they'll climb a couple spots to be the number 10.
Even like the top 5 or top 10 games or top 20 games, like both Alabama and Tennessee are in that spot, right? So one of them's got to lose, and I'm thinking of that. So yeah, if Mizzou wins, then they should be.
Tennessee's 11. Tennessee's going to drop. Notre Dame does play USC. Like that's always a possibility. Oklahoma going to South Carolina. There's a couple that could happen that would set that up for us.
All right, I'm going to make my first NFL pick with this one. I'm going to the London game, and I'm taking the Jaguars +3. It's basically a home game for them. They do this every year. The league sends them to London every single year, sometimes for back-to-back weeks. They love that place. I think they win the game against the Rams, and +3 makes it even better, so give me the Jaguars.
That is an interesting one with potential playoff implications for both sides.
It's a big game.
You know,
Yeah.
it should be a good game. I hate that it's one of those 8:30 a.m. games, but maybe they'll get a good one out of that this time around.
All right, producers, round 4.
I'll go back to the college realm, but I won't go to any of the SEC games. Give me Utah to cover against BYU. BYU's escaped a few games this year, especially last week against Arizona that they probably should have lost. Scraped by in that one. And it's Holy War, I know it's at BYU, but I think Utah can go in there and win by about a touchdown. That's my gut feeling.
That's tricky. You get a rivalry like this one, and you're taking the road team, and you're giving points. That's
BYU's undefeated still, right? Yeah.
They are.
I think they are.
Yeah.
That's interesting right there. I mean, I'm tempted, but it's Andy's turn, so we'll see what happens.
It's your turn.
Oh,
Go
it is
ahead.
my turn, so I could take this if I wanted to.
Go ahead.
Yeah, man, that's going to be a heck of an environment. And even if Utah won it, this kind of rivalry game does feel like a game that comes down to just a field goal. Yeah, screw it. Give me BYU plus the 3.5. That's a number that I think is fair, but I like it for the home team.
Okay, doing our picks of the week here on the Big Show KTGR and the KTGR app. This one, I wouldn't normally do this either, lay points with a big favorite, but I think Notre Dame's going to roll USC. Actually, I really do. Yeah, it's. I would like it to go the other way. Honestly,
We do want that. I mean, that's going to be that's. We talk about that with the rooting guide. That's one that you want to look for because Notre Dame doesn't have very many opportunities to lose after this one.
But I fear that the Irish are going to put the clamps down at home in a game like this. They're 9.5-point favorites. It's a big number to cover. And USC has certainly played better recently, but I just think the Irish are going to be too much. So I will lay 9.5 with Notre Dame this weekend.
All right. I'll stay in the college realm for my last pick. The line's weird on this one. I'm not a huge fan of it, but give me South Carolina with the points at home against Oklahoma. I know Oklahoma lost last week against Texas, and they'll be trying to get out and have another prove-it game. But I think South Carolina keeps this one close. Lost on the road last week against LSU, and they've just kind of flown underneath the radar in the SEC, and I think this is where they can jump back up at a hopping environment in South Carolina. And I think they can at least cover the game. I think they might actually win the game, too.
Yeah, I'm disappointed. This is going to force me to pick an NFL game because that was going to be my last pick.
I like that pick too. That was a good pick.
I've either taken the side on every other college game, or I very much like the side that's already been selected. So I have to go off script a little bit here. And for the first time, I haven't even glanced at these NFL numbers because I just feel better about college this week. But let's take a look. I did mention Cowboys at home against Commanders. I do believe CeeDee Lamb is expected to be back for that game, but it's not really the Cowboys offense that you're worried about. It's their defense at times. Oh, boy. The Falcons are one of those teams that can be tricky. Sometimes they'll play great. Sometimes they will really, really let you down. You know what? I'll do this on Monday night. I think the Buccaneers keep it close against the Lions. I know the game's in Detroit, but we kind of remarked last week with the Lions not really keeping it competitive against the Chiefs. They've had 2 losses this year, both against teams that we consider playoff contenders, Packers and now the Chiefs. I think the Bucs are certainly a playoff caliber team. I think it's a step up in competition relative to any type of team the Lions have beat yet this year. So the fact that I'm getting 5.5 points with Baker Mayfield, I think feels like a pretty good spot for me. So I'll go Bucs plus 5.5. We'll have to wait till Monday night to settle that one out, but I think they keep it close. That's a high scoring game. That's like a shootout that ends up as a field goal spread.
No, I'm saying that was one that I was looking at too. I was ready to take it if you weren't, because I think you're right. I think that could end up being a close game by a field goal. Baker Mayfield will have a chance to cut down that margin in the last drive. Whether he does it or not, I don't know, but he'll have that chance. So
if they're down by 6 and they go for the touchdown and throw a pick, that might be what tanks it. But I like the Bucs there.
Okay, so you were teasing the fact that maybe I'm going to think about the Chiefs. I'm not thinking about the Chiefs this week. That's a big number. They can very well beat them by 2 touchdowns, and I would pick them to do it, but I'm not going to make my pick there. with this game, because the Raiders do have some players that frustrate the Chiefs historically, no matter where they're playing. So I'm going to stay away from that. Instead, I'll go emotional hedge. I'll take the Seahawks -3. Honestly, I think this game will also push. This will probably be the margin, -3.
Interesting.
For the game against the Texans. Man, the Seahawks look good. In a home game like that, they get a night atmosphere on the West Coast for that Monday night game. It's not like they're playing a Monday night game and it's going to be starting at like 5
No,
local
it's a late
time.
start for them.
No, they went ahead and get that type of atmosphere. Yeah, I just think that's bad news for my Texans, so I'll take the Seahawks -3 in the other Monday night game.
Yeah, you know what, though? The NFL, it seems as though just when you think you've got a team figured out, they'll kind of go the other way on you. And Seattle's been almost playing too well to keep it up as a favorite in this one. You could be onto something, though, with that push. I hope your Texans can get it done. Like, Stroud's looked a little better recently. That's not one that I would have necessarily done as a Texans fan. But like you said, emotional hedge, who can blame you for that?
Seahawks look good, though. I mean, just that's what I
They really
hear.
do.
And so we'll see what that looks like. But yeah, I'll be up until midnight watching that game and probably being disappointed at the end, but that means I'll have won the pick. So those are our picks of the week. We'll recap them next week, and be sure to join us for Monday at 4 o'clock when we recap the entire weekend, how Mizzou did against Auburn, how the Chiefs did against the Raiders, and so much more. Be sure to stay tuned here in a couple of minutes. Big high school football game of the week. We've got Hickman and Rockbridge. Big time battle, the Providence Bowl renewed. Coverage starts in just a few minutes for that. We'll see you at 4 o'clock on Monday. He's Brenden. He's producer Ben. I'm Andy. We're done for now.
Your to-do list keeps growing. Stop and breathe, because Bax Homeworks has the ultimate team for getting things done in 2025. Big or small, they truly do it all. So simplify the workflow and leave all that to Bax. Bathroom remodels? Check. Building the best deck? Yep. Patching the drywall? Easy. What part of they do it all did you not understand? Schedule your free estimate today. Then sit back while Bax Homeworks does their thing. Find them on Facebook or at BaxHomeworks.com. Bax Homeworks, getting your to-do list done.
Hey, y'all.